Today we're making blueberry coffee cake muffins. I'm borrowing this recipe from bakeorbreak.com. So first we're going to make our crumb topping. Are we though? Let me look at the instructions actually. We need 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, and I'm just putting this all in a small bowl. With that, we need 1/4 cup of packed light brown sugar. I'm using dark brown and I think it's gonna be just fine. Next, we have some ground ginger, a 1/2 teaspoon. We need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna give that a quick mix together. Make sure you break up the brown sugar a little bit, but it's okay if it's not perfect because next we're going to be adding in some cold butter. We need 1/4 cup or a 1/2 stick of butter, cold, and we're going to cut it up into small cubes. I'm gonna be honest with you, I do not enjoy doing this. Also, my butter isn't the coldest right now. It's been sitting out for probably 10 minutes, which is not ideal. But we'll make it, this, I'm pretty sure you could put all of your dry ingredients here that I have in my bowl into a food processor with your butter and pulse it, and that will help you very easily cut the butter into the dry ingredients. So you can also use your hands, and you're just going to blend this until it looks like wet sand and it comes together into little crumbs. You can also use a fork or pastry blender. If you don't care for ginger, I think cinnamon would be a good ingredient that you could swap it out for in this crumb topping. You really just want that delicious buttery goodness to be evenly distributed so that you get that rich fat in every muffin. I'm saying that's good enough. So I'm gonna pop this in the fridge while we make our muffin batter. My oven is preheating to 350 degrees. I'm going to line a standard 12-cup muffin tin with just paper liners. We'll set that aside for now. In a medium bowl, I'm going to combine 2 cups of flour, all-purpose. Be sure you're spooning your flour into your measuring cup because it will pack down if you just go into your flour container, your flour bag, and take a big scoop. So if you pack the flour in, your muffins will be susceptible to being dry. We don't want that. 2 cups. We need some baking powder, 1 teaspoon. We need some baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon. And then salt, 1/4 teaspoon. Stir that together. We're gonna set that aside. Then in a large bowl, we're going to cream together the butter and sugar. So we need a 1/2 cup or 1 stick of butter softened, else it's nearly impossible to cream. And you can do this with a hand mixer or stand mixer. I have neither, and I've had neither for years, and I survive. But the creaming together helps to break down the sugar granules so you get a smoother texture. We need 1/4 cup of white sugar and a 1/2 cup of brown sugar packed. Again, the recipe says light brown. Again, I'm using dark brown, and it'll be fine. Okay, so work your butter and your sugars together until they're smooth and light and fluffy. I'm gonna leave mine about there. Next, it's time for the eggs. We need 2 eggs, and we're gonna mix them in one at a time. 2 large eggs. That's typical in baking, except with Ina Garten. I really enjoy her recipes and watching her cooking show, but I feel like she uses extra large eggs. That's just what she likes to use. Okay, get each egg mixed in. This is our second one. You don't want to see any visible egg white or egg yolk hanging out. Okay, now it's time for vanilla. We need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Once we have the vanilla mixed in, we're going to start adding in our flour mixture alternately with a 1/2 cup of yogurt. And the recipe says plain or vanilla, and I'm using Greek yogurt because that's what I have, so Greek yogurt should be just fine. If it's not, I'll let you know. Okay, so in our big bowl with the wet ingredients, I'm going to add about 1/3 of our flour mixture. Mix that in. Nice and slow so your flour doesn't come up into a plume and get all over you and your workspace. That's why I just like to use really large bowls, because I know I'm going to make some sort of mess. Just so it's mixed in, try not to overbeat it, because we still want our batter to be light and fluffy, not chewy. Then I'm going to add about 1/2 of the yogurt. That would be about 1/4 cup. Maybe fold that in. Because in the recipe, they're still using a mixer. Okay, we're going to add about 1/2 of the remaining flour mixture. Mix that in. So this is going to be quite a thick batter. I think especially, well, it's not just that I'm using Greek yogurt. I'm going to add the rest of my yogurt. Mix that in. Well, and remember, these are a coffee cake muffin. Coffee cake is kind of dense. And then I'm going to add the last of my flour mixture. Be sure you scrape down your sides, and scrape down to the bottom, get all that flour mixture mixed in, no dry spots. And now, contrary to what you might think, we are not going to add the blueberries to the batter. We are going to get our muffin tin. We're going to fill each cup with about, I said 3 tablespoons. About 3/4 of the way full. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. They may not look evenly distributed right now, but I'm gonna work towards it. Make sure you scrape all that batter out of the bowl. Now, I am using frozen blueberries, and I don't know how many ounces, what that equals to in volume. So I'm just going to put a tablespoon of blueberries on each one, because I want each bite to have blueberry in it, if you're biting straight down, you know? And I'll come back and put some more on that. Look a little scant. Also, I like frozen blueberries because they're not necessarily as expensive. If they're expensive by you, if they're not in season. And if they're not in season, they're usually frozen, they're like fresh frozen. So they go from like the field to frozen pretty quick. So they tend to have decent flavor. Okay, I pressed my blueberries down into the batter a little bit because I almost forgot we still have to put the crumble topping on top. So do your best. I'm going to use a spoon. Oh boy. I might put this muffin tin, I might put a baking sheet under this muffin tin so as not to make a mess in the bottom of my oven. The crumble is the best part, so it's worth making a mess for. Take the consequences of my actions. It's okay, you might have some left over. I have a little left over. And will I? Maybe not. I used all of mine. I'm going to put mine on a baking sheet. There we go. And these are going to bake for 25 to 30 minutes. I'm not going to show you yet, but I can tell that they're not done. And one thing you can do, give them a jiggle. If they still jiggle, they're not done. So, do you remember how the recipe said these would take 25 to 30 minutes? Well, you're looking at 40 minutes. And one of two things. It could be that my oven needs to be recalibrated, or it could be that having the baking sheet underneath had an impact. And mine didn't like boil over or anything. A little bit of dry crumb came off the bottom, but either way, we finally made it. We need to let these cool in the pan for 10 minutes, and then we'll transfer them to a wire rack to cool completely. All right, let's give these a go. So as you can see, the blueberries didn't fall down very much. And I don't know how I feel about that. Part of me wishes I would have mixed them into the batter. So maybe that's a tip for you. But let's get a bite with with all the blueberries. Make sure there's crumble topping on there. Oh yeah, that's good. I'm gonna have a bite without blueberry just to see what we're dealing with. This is still pretty good. I wonder why the author of this recipe didn't mix the blueberries in. Yeah, next time, and I would recommend that you mix the blueberries into your batter, just because I think then you'll get more blueberry in every bite. And then I also think that once you mix the blueberries in, the crumble will go right on top of the batter and it won't be competing with the blueberries to stick to something. So, tips for you when you make these, and tips for me next time I make these. But one last note is that they're not super sweet, and I think that can be pretty typical with a coffee cake, so it would be a nice morning treat or any time of day treat. But yes, if you think this recipe would be delicious, please give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe for more content, and if you are looking for another delicious muffin recipe, go ahead, click here on screen, and I will see you guys there.